Hi everyone, Avery here again. Today we're going to talk about what trauma-informed actually means. Being trauma-informed means that we do our best to take on our child's perspective and recognize that their behaviors are showing us something about how they're feeling. We want to look at them with curiosity. We want to recognize that our children have experienced trauma and that it will be our jobs to help to heal their brains and rewire their neural pathways. Constant observation of our children's behavior will help us to decide what their developmental age at that time is, which will also help us to determine how they're feeling and coping, which will determine how we're able to parent them appropriately. As discussed in my ACEs video, trauma may manifest after any adverse childhood experience. This could include neglect, abuse, substance abuse in the home, or a wide array of things. Even being adopted at birth is considered trauma because it is the loss of a first family. And here you'll see the ACEs tree, which shows a variety of different ACEs, their categories, and the multitude of experiences that may lie within that. Now we need to know that it's not specifically the bad experience that creates the trauma. It is the lack of a safe space or a safe person to go to and be able to process the trauma, to be able to move through it and heal from it. If we're not able to do that in a timely fashion, then our body stores it as trauma. Trauma is something that happens in the body and stays in the body. It is a wordless story that our mind tells ourselves about what is safe and what is a threat in the world. Our system comes up with conditioned tendencies based on our early life experiences. And this determines how we react to those types of experiences early on and throughout our lives. We've done this to adapt to our environment, to try our best to feel safe and to continue to function, even though our environment may not be optimal for that. As parents of children with a trauma history, we want to be aware in the moment, responsive to how they are behaving in the moment and where they may be coming from. We want to be on their side and to help them through their hard feelings, not to judge them because of them. It's very important that we're a safe listener and that we take on whatever they're saying without judgment. If we're quick to anger, we'll need to make sure that we learn self-calming and regulating techniques. We really want to avoid anger with our children. They already feel questioning in their environment and in their skin. Their self-worth may also be in question. And so we don't want to layer that with outward expressions of anger and disappointment towards them. They need to know that we love them and are proud of them no matter what they do. As parents of children with a trauma history, we want to be aware in the moment. We want to respond immediately to their needs and to be a safe listener. We want to make sure that we don't take their behavior personally. It's not an affront to us. It is simply how children react and respond and challenge their environment to be sure that they are safe. We want to do all of this without judgment. And again, if we know things about ourselves, like for example, if we are quick to anger, we want to proactively find ways to resolve that so we know that we can be calm and regulated for our children. Take a few deep breaths, take a moment away, but come back. Although it is okay and completely normal to show anger or disappointment when a boundary is broken, we don't want it to be because the child has pushed us there, because they have pushed us into losing control of our own emotions and feeling disempowered. That's not okay. We want to stay regulated and calm and respond to what is happening. Once they're calm and regrounded, we want to help them to find ways to use their words to express their feelings, and then to praise them for that. Praise the positive and good behavior. Providing trauma-informed care means shifting the question from what's wrong with you to what's happened to you. This is also a really great book by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. I highly recommend it to everyone. I will do a book review on that book at some point in the near future to go into a bit more details, but I highly recommend it for everyone. Anyone who has experienced their own adversity in life or is going to raise children who have, it's an excellent book. It changed my perspective on myself and the world around me, which is always awesome. And then there's Gabor Mate's book, Scattered Minds. He outlines real-life practical examples that we can see what happens between a parent and a child, the interaction that most likely would occur in most of our families versus where we want to lean towards to more healthy practices with our children, more engaged and attuned practices. I highly recommend this book. And although it's geared towards children or raising children with ADD, it's also very helpful if you have those tendencies yourself, but also it's just great for any child raising, and especially for kids who have trauma and need that attachment parenting methodology more. It's full of great insights. I highly recommend it. And I will do a book review on this one as well at some point. Right now I'm in the midst of it, so we'll see when that comes. In many references to childhood trauma, there's talk of big T or little t trauma. And that's basically how big of an impact it winds up having on the human and their later life experiences. Now, in terms of childhood trauma and whether the instance becomes big T or little t trauma, there's a variety of factors at play. So there's the child's chronological age, their developmental age, their intellect, their type of trauma, and whether or not there were any adults present to provide a safe, nurturing response to the trauma. In reaction to traumatic stress, children may express a variety of emotions through varying behaviors. They may have the feeling of constantly not being safe. They may be over snuggly. They may have nightmares or difficulty managing their feelings. They may have problems concentrating or extreme responses to any type of stress. We need to understand trauma and the stress on our specific child and on ourselves, and how those two interplay together. How can we ensure that we're healthy, our child's healthy, and that we're having a healthy relationship? Many of us grew up in houses with unhealthy models of adulthood and of parenting. And because of this, we have our own fight, flight, or freeze responses. We need to be cognizant of those. We might have gotten harsh punishment as children. We may not have felt safe. We may have experienced our own ACEs. We may have had really harsh punishment instead of discipline, or not been allowed to be questioning or curious about the world around us. We may have been told to shut up a lot. This will all have an impact on our own responses to stress. And we want to make sure that we have managed that so we are able to help our children manage their own. Because all of this likely caused us to have our own insecure attachment style. As such, we want to repair that and get to a secure attachment so we can also assist our child to get to a secure attachment place. And take it from me, changing your attachment style changes your life for the better. It changes the lives of the humans around you for the better. It allows you to show up and be more healthy and wholesome and grounded, to be present for them. Our past traumas do not have to determine the type of parents that we become. How we process our trauma makes all the difference. We want to process and heal that intentionally so that we can be a safe space for others. I was able to do that, and thank goodness I've been able to be that center grounding force for many people in my family, and I'm grateful. I also have to have a very good self-care practice in place because of that. So remember that as you move to this healing place for your children, that will bring burdens onto your heart. And of course, we are ready and willing and able to do that, but we need to have our own self-care and healing practices in place as well. So make sure you carve out some time for that too. I also truly believe that in order to help a child walk their path of healing, you need to have walked your own. How else can we possibly be a guide if we don't know the way? The good news is that kids are resilient. Resilience is the ability to overcome from trauma and to learn how to regulate their emotions again. Kids are typically able to do this when they're removed from that traumatic state and they're made to feel safe and loved and secure. Reassure them verbally and by creating a structured, predictable environment. Start the healing by being calm, competent, supportive parents, including cultivating and acknowledging your child's unique strengths and abilities. Don't try and force what you want them to be good at. Focus on what they enjoy. Build your attachment from there and their sense of security and strength. Every single day, we want to support them with many, many serve and return interactions. Recognizing that our relationship and our attachment is the number one priority. We want to help our kids understand their big emotions and the behaviors that go along with them. We want to model calm, consistent, caring emotion. And we also want to play out all emotions because we are humans and we will experience sadness and anger. We want to process those in healthy ways and model that for our children. We want to let them know that we do always need to be respectful of those around us. That's probably one of my firmer boundaries with the humans in my world, whether they're little or large. We want to be honest and nonviolent. So most importantly, we want to model. We want to model the behaviors, the love, and the values that you want to see in them. All right, and in closing, a couple of discussion questions. So I'd like you to consider if you had a 5-year-old. If you had a 5-year-old and that 5-year-old is throwing an absolute temper tantrum on the floor simply for not getting the snack that she requested at snack time. Now, she's yelling and screaming and flailing on the floor. How do you respond? Now think of this realistically. I'd like you to put yourself in that situation to see and hear that flailing child screaming for no good reason. Are you angry? Are you frustrated? What do you do to calm yourself? And how do you respond to them? And then the last question is simply just to consider, what do you consider, or what is standing out to you possibly as being a big difference between raising a child that is biologically born to you, a child without any trauma, versus a child that has experienced trauma? What is the big difference in trauma-informed parenting? And thank you. Thank you for making it to the end. And thank you for being here again. Thank you for caring enough about your family and your children and your own sanity to be here and to show up. It means a lot. will bubble up and come out in different tuxedo. We need to manage, no, I went way off topic. Stop. No, try again. Reset. All right, reset. One more time. Or traumatic. Yeah, okay. No, that didn't come out right. Beep-bop-a-loop-a, she's my baby. We don't have internet, but I'm so crazy. Reassure them verbally and by creating a, no. I'd like for you to woo. All right. Thanks again for watching. Remember to come again. No. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Hit the ring-a-ding-dong button. It all helps me. Thanks very much, and I can't wait to see you next time.